Hi there guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna Sophia if you're new here, and I post home decor and DIY content every Sunday. And for today's video, I wanted to share with you guys just how easy it is to transform different thrifted home decor items simply by just changing the color. But I also wanted to switch it up just a little bit and test out different spray paints that I picked up from Home Depot. If you've been following me for a while, you probably know that I pretty much always use the same spray paint, so I kind of wanted to just switch it up a little bit, experiment, try some new things, and share with you guys what I found. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into our first project. For the first DIY, my son and I were in the thrift store. We were actually at a Goodwill in my local hometown area of Howland, Ohio, and he pointed this out because he was just dying to have those owls that were on this little shelf, and it's like a wall hanging shelf situation. And it was only $1.99, and it was in pretty good shape, but I'm gonna show you how easy this is gonna be by simply just changing the color. So obviously the first step was to remove the owls, and I gave those to my son, and he was extremely happy with that. What are those, Romy?
Owls.
Mm-hmm.
You see it?
So now with the owls gone, it was just time to kind of just clean it up. Just the shelf was actually in pretty good shape in terms of like sturdiness, but it was just kind of dusty and dirty. And the spray paint that I decided to use was actually my favorite one of the four that I tried for this video, and it is by Behr. It is a chalk paint finish, and I did it in a black noir, and it is so pretty, the end result. So now that I had decided on the color, I wanted to just fill those holes in really quick. I don't know how much I'll actually be even seeing these holes, but just for like my peace of mind, I just wanted to make sure that they were all filled in. So I'm just using this wood filler that I picked up from Home Depot. They have so many options to choose from, but honestly, I always get the smallest one because then that way, if it dries out, I didn't lose a bunch of money. And honestly, I love this one because it lets you know very quickly when it is dry. And now with those holes filled in, I'm just taking like a damp wash rag and just kind of wiping off the excess just to make sure that it just doesn't get all over the project and it doesn't look messy. And once the wood filler had all dried, I just took some medium grit sandpaper and just kind of sanded off the excess just to make sure that everything was nice and smooth and flat. And as I mentioned earlier, this was definitely my favorite spray paint of the bunch, not only because I felt like it just gave the smoothest application, but also the bottle itself was really, really nice. Like the nozzle, it was really comfortable to hold, which I know sounds so stupid, but honestly, if you're spray painting a lot like I do, or if you're spray painting something large and you're going to be spray painting a lot, it does start to wear on your little fingers. So I really liked this spray paint the most for that reason. Another reason I really liked this spray paint was because I felt that it gave such a nice full coverage just with one application. Normally you expect to do 2 coats, but really I probably could have left this one just with 1 coat. Also, I will try to link whatever spray paints I used in this video. I haven't looked on Amazon yet to see what's even available, but if it's available on Amazon, I'll make sure I link it in the description box below if you don't live nearby a hardware store. And then just to finish off the project, I decided to use Rustoleum's matte clear spray paint. It's the one I use very often. I feel like it really does a good job of protecting whatever you just spray painted. I've had things that I've spray painted for years, but because I've used this, because when I don't use it, I develop scratches and chipping, and it's just not what you want in the end. This really protects whatever you're spray painting. So this is how it started out with our little owls, and this is how it looks now. For our second DIY transformation project, something I always find at the thrift store are metal tins from like the holidays, from Christmas, and people have cookies in them or whatever. So I ended up picking up these 2 as a set, and they were only 79 cents a piece. And I thought this would be the perfect time to kind of try out a different spray paint to see how these would hold up. So total bummer, there was money in there, but it was fake. So the first thing I had to do was clean everything out really well. And then I decided to use Rustoleum's hammered spray paint, and I wanted to see how it would work on something like this. So it says it stops rust and things like that, and because it was metal, I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to see. So a couple things, this is not as comfortable of a nozzle to use, and I don't know if it's because maybe what I was spray painting has such like a strong pattern, but it really did take like 3 coats to completely cover these tins. So one thing that I really wasn't expecting, it gave a really smooth application, which I ended up really liking in the end, but for some reason I had it in my mind that it was gonna give some sort of like a hammered textured effect. I didn't know how that was gonna happen, but that's just how I thought it was going to come out. So that's definitely not what happened to me. If you guys have used the spray paint before, let me know if this is how it is supposed to turn out, because I've never used this before and I didn't know what the expectation should be. So this is how our Christmas tins looked before and how they look now. For the third project, I really wanted a metal, like matte black log holder, and log holders are surprisingly expensive. So when I came across this one at the Goodwill for just $2.99, I was like, okay, this is the perfect opportunity to try out some spray paint. And typically what I would use is just Rustoleum's matte black spray paint that I use pretty much on everything. But because this is going to be near a fire, my fireplace, I didn't want the heat to sort of like start to make the spray paint either crackle or chip or whatever. So the first thing I did with this log holder is I just disassembled it and got the leather part kind of removed just so I could spray paint the whole thing and get a nice clean finish. And this was surprisingly easy to do. It just kind of like popped right off, and I just set that leather piece off to the side and then just loosely kind of put the hardware piece back together so I could easily spray paint everything and I would get a nice clean finish. And for the screws, if you ever have to spray paint any sort of hardware that's going into something that you're going to have to screw in, I always like to use styrofoam, and I just put those pieces in there so I can get the cleanest finish and you don't have a bunch of drip marks, because it is hard if everything was to be assembled and spray painted. You probably, even if you were super careful, it would develop drip marks. And to narrow it down in terms of the spray paint, I used the high heat one by Rustoleum. It says that you could use it on a grill, so I'm thinking a log holder should be just fine. The other one that I considered was the appliance epoxy spray paint. So if you've used that one, please let me know if you liked it or how you felt about it. My overall review of this spray paint is this. The nozzle is definitely the least comfortable of the ones that I used. Also, I felt that the coverage was really good. I only needed really to do 2 coats, and this is kind of like an awkward thing to spray paint, so I was pretty pleased with that. I felt that it dried really quickly, which was really nice. However, I'm not going to know how durable this spray paint really is until I'm actively using my fireplace and it is around heat. But for now, it looks really good. It's sustaining very well, but we'll have to see. Maybe what I'll do is a little story on Instagram. If you're not following me over there, it's the same name, Thea Garcia DIY, and maybe I'll give you guys an update maybe sometime in the fall when I'm using my fireplace. And what I really liked about this was I felt like it really gave like an iron rod look to it, which is what I was really trying to achieve. And with every paint part now dried, it's just time now to slide that leather piece back in and screw it back together. And this is how it looked before, a little reminder, just kind of cheap looking, and this is how it looks now. And for the 4th DIY, I really wanted to make an aged brass planter, but only using spray paints just to see what's available in that department. So I found this planter for $4.99 at the thrift store, and I felt that it was the perfect project to do this on because this thing had seen much better days and it had a general shape that I really like. So the spray paint that I initially thought I was going to use was this classic noir, the same one that I used in the first project, but I actually ended up doing gold instead, and I did use this aged glaze, and I'll share with you guys kind of my thoughts on that in a little bit. But the first thing I had to do was take that Goo Gone and try to remove as much of that hot glue and foam as possible. That is what I like to do to break adhesive. That and Dawn dish soap usually works like a charm. So you guys know I always use Krylon's gold metallic spray paint. It is my favorite one. I will link that one below because I didn't really love this one by Rustoleum. I felt that it gave a really like cheap and fake look. So the aged glaze really saved this piece in the end for me. I would never have left it just as it was with this gold color because I felt that it just looked really cheap. However, I will say that it gave a really nice full coverage, but again, just the color just seemed a little bit off for me personally. And after the gold spray paint had all dried, I had to go in then with the aged glaze. And that on the bottle says to literally spray it on and wipe it off. Like that's the directions for the application, but it also says that you want to wait 2 hours of your first coat of whatever you just spray painted, wait 2 hours, and then you can apply the glaze afterwards. Honestly, I was really impressed with this glaze. I thought it gave a really nice kind of like aged look in the end, and again, I felt that it really saved this project. Obviously, this is totally optional. A lot of people, what I've seen them do is they take dirt outside and they mix it with water, or like I've done in the past, I use cinnamon, and that gives a really nice look too, and it's obviously free and affordable. But honestly, this was really user friendly, and I felt that it gave the most kind of like look that you would actually see in a store. So this one took the longest to dry, and I don't know if it's just because it's the nature of this type of spray paint, but it did take a while to dry. But another thing too I want to mention is whatever you're spray painting, you're going to want to make sure it has some detail to it, because otherwise I feel like you'll just wipe it right off if it has nothing to kind of like sink into. And the last thing I'll say about it is this: it's really nice that you can kind of build your application up as much as you want. So if you wanted to just do 1 coat, wipe it off and leave it at that, or you could do 3, 4, 5, however many coats until you get the right amount of aged glaze that you want. So I definitely am happy that I found this spray paint. I didn't even know something like this existed, so I was really excited to share it with you guys. So as you guys can see, this is how our little vessel looked before, just kind of like seen better days, and this is how it looks now. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked today's video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and hit the subscribe button, because I post home decor and DIY content every Sunday. And I hope I see you guys next Sunday. Bye!